back so soon. 12 hours later. What we say it was last night?
A little over 12. Yeah, a little over
12. A little over 12 it was. We appreciate you guys for being back with us. And thank you so much for such a successful schedule release live stream evening, which is what last night was all about. Today, it's the 15th of May. It's a Thursday. Welcome inside the vault. I'm Bobby Trossett. She's Sarah Ellison. We got a lot to cover today, including some sort of post-schedule release analysis. We gave you a lot last night, but what about strength of schedule? Where does the Ravens, in terms of what took place last year, win and loss, overall record, so on and so forth, where do they fall in this year's strength of schedule? But first, Roquan Smith, Sarah, sat down virtually with Rich Eisen and NFL Network, and the shots have been fired. The messages have been sent to the Buffalo Bills and maybe another team as well. So we'll share some clips from Roquan's interview in his instant reaction to the schedule. We'll also get into some Dan Orlovsky comments. And as an MVP voter, could he be setting Lamar Jackson up again to be robbed of an MV3? We'll see if an MV3 is within his grasp at some point this upcoming season. That and a whole lot more, including we will announce just at the end our winner of last night's $100 Fanatics gift card giveaway courtesy of Primary Residential Mortgage. So with that, like the video on your way in, subscribe, hit that notification bell. And Sarah, I tallied up because I know you'd be curious. We are at 215 Voltrons, 250 channel members. That means the next benchmark for us would be 250. If you want to become a Voltron, you can click the link that's right now pinned comment in the live chat. How are you?
I'm doing well. Hey, man, we got to give. I mean, there were lots of people that got their own memberships. PHP, Park Heights Profit, I think, gave like 30 away last night. Osmodius Richard gave away 10. The generosity has been flowing this entire week, and it just went to another level last night and really the last couple of days. But Bobby, if you were here with us last night or even a couple days prior, you would know that I am amped. I am amped that the Ravens got the Bills week 1 in Buffalo. But now I just got more amped because who better than Roquan Smith to raise the stakes? He is unafraid, as we know, because we used to have him in here as a guest almost weekly when he first came to Baltimore. And he is not afraid to mix it up a little bit. Doesn't matter that the cameras are in front of him. He knows exactly what he wants. And he definitely sent a message. Hopefully the Ravens live up to it. But he sent a message when Rich Eisen asked him, who are you most excited about to face now that the schedule is upon us?
Hey, Roquan, how are you, sir?
Doing great. Thank you for having me.
Well, what was the first game you looked for when you looked at the schedule, Roquan?
The first game of the year. That's how you start the season off, and that's going to set the tone for the entire season. So that's the first game for sure.
Well, that's at the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, just how I like it. Exactly.
Okay.
Revenge is best served as a cold dish, so it'll be nice to get up there in Buffalo and get a little payback for those guys from the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean, that's right away, and it's the first Sunday night game of the year, too. So obviously the NFL knows that this is a nice, juicy piece to throw out there on a Sunday night. How much have you been thinking about the Ravens and the Bills throughout the last few months?
Honestly, man, those guys they won the game fair and square last year. And that misery sets in all offseason, and you use that as motivation throughout the offseason. So just knowing that, we have everything it takes to be the best team in this NFL and have to show that game in and game out. And it's going to start up there in Buffalo, and just like everything we've gone throughout the offseason and how the season ended, it just unleashing it on those guys. And I'm sure they have the same plan.
Okay, so again, not afraid to put it out there. His game, most looking forward to, the Bills, just like me. And he says that revenge is best served as a cold dish. It'll be nice to get up there in Buffalo and get a little payback from those guys for the end of last year. Those guys won the game fair and square, but misery sets in all offseason. You use it as motivation. Bobby, he has set the standard. The defense was not Ravens defense last year. The way they went out in Buffalo was not at all how they envisioned going out. shooting themselves in the foot for sure. So he's got, listen, you're going to talk big, which I'm not against, but you better bring it week 1. Otherwise, you know that you just gave them fodder. He knows he's giving them fodder. So they better come in hot.
I know he and Trenton certainly would want their fair share of plays back if they could get him back from the week 1 opener on the road last year in Kansas City. I love this from Roquan. This is the type of tone-setting mentality that he's brought to Baltimore since he was acquired several years ago. And while last year didn't start great, which of course was what I just referenced in Kansas City, middle part of the defense just seemed to step behind the underneath pass coverage. They really had no answers for a lot of the speed gadget guys that Andy Reid was throwing at them in that opener. But to his credit, after they made the change, of course, a chunk of the way into the season and demoted Trenton, he still finds a way when it's all said and done to be an all-pro at his position. He's a consummate professional. He's the vocal professional that this team has needed. And so I don't expect that to change. I expect him to have a bounce back year, a fully bounce back in terms of like the full slate, not just. When do you think that Roquan really started firing off? You think it was like the halfway point that we look at where the passing defense started to turn around, or do you think it was earlier for him?
When he himself started to get better?
Yeah, I think it was a little bit earlier than
I don't know
to.
if I have that pinpointed.
Like we all point to 10 and 11, right? Weeks 10 and 11.
Right.
When the passing defense started, that was when Marcus Williams was benched. Eddie Jackson was cut not long after. Darius Washington comes in, and all of a sudden you start to see a trickle-down effect on the defense.
I guess I could more pinpoint it when they brought in, when they benched Trenton. Yeah. And benching might be the wrong word because maybe he played a little bit. But then they brought in the more veteran linebackers, and I think by that you started to see Roquan playing better too.
Yeah, and if memory serves, that was well before weeks 10 and 11. So anyway, it's really beside the point. The point is now he's going to have a shot to right his wrongs, right the middle part of that defense's wrongs in the early part of last year. I think he will. And ultimately, I think they're going Buffalo to get much more than revenge. They're going back to go after the reigning MVP, go after the team that bounced them out of the postseason early last year, but ultimately do what they weren't able to do last year, and that was put their best foot forward in week 1 rather than dig a hole, which is something we know they did in the first 2 weeks last season.
Yeah. And listen, I'm with you. I like setting the standard. I like setting a high standard. He is supposed to be one of the leaders. To your point, he didn't start off great last year. He, along with the defense, got better, but moving into, he was also asked about other games. He said he was also very excited to get Chicago. This is the first time he's going to play Chicago since he was traded away from there. So I cannot tell you how many times he said, I'm very excited. I like how he says excited. I'm very excited. I'm very excited. So he talked a lot about that Bears game, which is at home. So he doesn't get to go back to Chicago. And Rich was asking him, is there anybody in particular? He's like, no, whoever's coming across the middle, whether it be a tight end, a wide receiver, a running back, I just want to hit somebody. So he's much looking forward to that. But he was also asked about the Bengals on Thursday night. And this goes into what we were talking about how poorly the defense played. Okay. I'm here for a big talker if you really can back it up. And with the Bengals, the Ravens ended up sweeping them, but we all know it was because of the offense. These were shootouts where the defense couldn't stop a cold. And so here was his reaction about playing the Bengals.
Playing Cincy, obviously Burrow and all the weapons those guys have on offense, and like knowing last year when we was playing those guys defense, we didn't play to our standard. And so, I think they think things are a little sweet. So it's about like actually showing that, hey, it's not as sweet as it may have been like last year, even though we still got the dub. And we just got to impose our will and like make it a physical slugfest, just how we like it, and make them take it each and every way.
Okay.
This guy, man, I'm pulling up last year's results just so we can all remind ourselves what the final scores were. I'm pretty sure one was like, didn't the Ravens put up a 40 burger on them?
Yeah, it was a lot of points.
Yeah. Let me just scan over to 24 here. So the first one was the overtime victory, 41-38 in week 5. And that was in Cincy. Lamar went nuts that game. That was a ridiculous game. And then week 10, they beat Cincy at home 35-34. So a combined 4 points, Sarah, separated, or I should say decided those two games, both of which went in Baltimore's favor.
There you go.
Hey, you mentioned that Chicago thing. Sorry to interrupt. The
Right.
Chicago side, while I really feel bad for the Bears, not only because Roquan's going to be out for blood, it's the week after the bye. We discussed this last night. John Harbaugh's career after the bye is like 90, like the win percentage is up in the 80 or 90s last time I checked. So look out. Look out, Chicago. You're going to be getting a team that's firing off of their early season bye.
Well, and I know they try to get, more weapons for Caleb Williams, and they did, but like Roquan is for sure going to try to make his life absolutely miserable like he wants to drive him deep into a sophomore slump, right? just bury him and his confidence within the game. So, but I did like that line against the Bengals where he's like, I think that they think it's going to be sweet. Bobby, I'm going to need to see it to believe it, because Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, like right now, I see another shootout. And so is Malachi Starks going to be the difference? Is Nate Wiggins in his second year going to be the difference? Is, who did they sign as the third corner? Awuzie going back against his former team? Like, is he going to be able to shut it down? Because I just don't know how they're going to keep this Bengals offense under 30, So I hope he's right. He thinks he says they think it's going to be sweet on the offensive side for them. I get why they would think that. So hopefully, he comes through on that one. And then finally, he was asked about the Chiefs.
Yeah, very excited about that one. I know Kansas City is a great team year in and year out with Reed, Nagy, obviously Mahomes and company over there, and all the weapons that they have. And that's truth be told, knowing that they're going to be one of the best teams in the league year in and year out, just like ourselves. So going in there and imposing our will on those guys, one play at a time, and not beating ourselves and not having self-inflicted mistakes on our end. And if we play ball that way, it'll be very hard for any team to beat us. But I know it'll be a challenge, but when we're playing our best, no one in the league can beat us.
You're going to make Isaiah Likely wear smaller shoes? You're going to do that?
Yeah, or maybe just a different color, right?
It's a different color.
Right? Yeah.
Put on those white cleats, Isaiah, those white cleats. But, man, he's absolutely right. If the Ravens don't shoot themselves in the foot, sky's the limit.
Yeah.
There weren't very many. I don't know. Or can you point to any loss where you're just like, they played their best and got beat? Like they just weren't good enough? To me, I originally thought it was the Eagles, and then people pointed out how many kicks Justin Tucker missed in that game. So, I mean, I thought the Eagles were for sure the best team that the Ravens played, but it makes you wonder if they made field goals. So I think he's right. Don't shoot yourself in the foot. Do not shoot yourself in the foot.
I'll say it 10 times over until we're blue in the face. The only team that beat this team last year was itself. So people outside of Baltimore that didn't follow it the way that we did scoff at that comment, because they're like, oh, take off your rose-colored glasses. When you really look at it, there's a case to be made. There's only one squad that beat this team. It's the ones that look themselves in the mirror every single day that make up that squad. So should we get to some super chats, or do you have some more comments on the schedule release?
No, not the release itself. I think maybe the video that the Ravens put out, just a small thing, but we can do that after super chats.
Okay. Because we got a boatload of channel members after we signed off last night, some of whom we've already given their shout outs, but I honestly can't remember. Jang became one. Got Time for Games became a channel member. Caven is KC became a channel member. I think we said this was Goki right? He helped us out last night with the pronunciation. I think it's Goki. Welcome, Goki. Kimberly Harmon, Brian McFarland, Joy Walker, Lisa Blaney, and Samuel Moore are all new channel members. We're coming up on 220 total. If you guys would like to become a Voltron, click on the link that we have in the pinned comment right now. It's chilling in the live chat. It's also in the show notes. And you can also just press that join feature button, that depending on what platform you're consuming us on today. And Deshaun Davis is throwing a little bit of shade at Roquan, Sarah.
Do I have to read this on?
I got you. Is Roquan still fat and sassy, or is he coming back in shape? That was definitely something that I think became a narrative about Roquan last year because of him being a step behind the first quarter of the season. People viewed that as he was out of shape. He looked a little bit bigger. And look, I can't speak to his conditioning. I don't know. But he did look slow at times, for sure, in the first quarter of that season. No question. Here's one from Boise.
He says, getting those big fish early, Bills, Chiefs, Lions. Perfect timing to talk smack and bully contenders, setting the tone to back up the talk later on. Agreed. But I mean, my goodness, if they come out with their hair on fire in that first month, people are going to be crying. All the rankings are going to be Ravens #1 if they come out with their hair on fire. All of them.
Yeah. Gosh, regardless, that people might still, even if they come out scuffling based on what they did last year, people could still believe in them.
Yeah.
Sod Blitz 34, channel member of ours. Andor equals fire. Posting that everywhere. Sorry. What's Andor and what is it?
I don't even know.
Appreciate you, Sod. Going right over my head on that one. Over 1,400 concurrents today, Tila. Please like the video on your way in. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. Hit that notification bell. And Sarah, every single year, all 32 teams and their social media departments flex on one another. It's a competition that's really become a thing in the National Football League on schedule release evening. Last year, of course, Stavi took center stage narrating the Ravens schedule release video. This year, look, when you're running a business, when you're a mother of 4, when you have busy lives, I just don't have a whole lot of time to sit down and binge watch series. When I do, it's typically because I'm sick or something catastrophic's happened in my life. So needless to say, I haven't watched Severance. I don't know anything about Severance, but I can tip my cap to the Ravens productions team last night. I didn't get any of the references, but that was pretty high production right there. And I can only imagine how long that took to put together for Jay O'Brien and his team. So that's all I got. I know you got some takeaways from a hilarious Eric DaCosta cameo and others. So you can take the stage.
Yeah, no, I also have not seen Severance, although I will say this. It made me want to watch it. And I will find ways to watch series that I like. Like if it means that I'm like in my bed with my phone from like 10:30 to 11:30 where I get a little bit in and I if it'll let me, I'll watch it on double time. Netflix lets me. I'll watch shows quick because I want to get it in. But I don't have Apple TV and I have so many other streaming that I'm like, I can't justify having another, I already have Netflix. I had to get YouTube TV for the football NFL Sunday package. I got Prime. Like I'm not adding another one with Apple TV, but if it ever makes its way elsewhere, I will for sure watch it because that video made me want to watch it. So while many of the references probably went over my head, it made me want to go watch it. Like this innie and outie stuff. Like, I don't know what that's all about. I thought there was some good acting, others not so great. I would say I thought Charlie Kolar did well. I thought KVN was a good actor. I thought EDC was a good actor. And I thought Trenton Simpson was a pretty good actor. I thought like he fit his character with being nice. Now some others, I won't say anybody who I didn't think was good, but I thought they were good. But then to me, by far, I didn't even need to see Severance to love the ending of it after they finally revealed the schedule. And at the very end, EDC is in the draft war room feeding baby goats, and John Harbaugh walks in on him. I just grabbed a little bit of audio for copyright purposes. So this was the very end.
It isn't time. They're not ready.
Oh, they'll be ready.
Oh, they'll be ready. EDC in the lab trying to put together a bunch of goats on his roster, feeding them, nourishing them, helping them grow out of baby goats to real life goats. Hold on, there's another one. The one that I pulled, let me see, where is it? The one that I pulled, there was one with another bigger goat behind him. I guess it's not there. Here, let me put it up here.
It is
right there, Bobby, over his left, our left, his right-hand shoulder. That looks like a more grown goat. Maybe that's Lamar. Maybe he's milking a Kyle Hamilton. Or shoot, wouldn't it be great if that were Mike Green in the making? I don't know, but I love that scene where he's like, I'm still making them. They're not ready. John comes in. I take it from here. You draft the goats. I gotta be the one to build them up. I just thought it was by far the best image, and that will be used in memes forever. Whenever a player has a good game, this image is going up on my Twitter. I'll tell you that much.
Leave it to these guys to just lean into it. The GM and the head coach, much like Eric does with various things around the draft, right? Like call your mom, call your parents, things like that over the years that he's taken the vlog type of embracing and gone with it and just run with it, which is funny. And you see everybody that's weighing in. Of course, Ben Stiller, he's got something to do with Severance for sure, leading the way there with tweets in response to what the Ravens productions team released. And then you pulled this one in from Lacey just in terms of behind the scenes. Look at him.
I just think it's hilarious that they gave him, that's like, I would call it an apron, but that looks like, I'm sure people who work in, I don't know, like if it were like a woodworker or something, wearing that, trying to protect his suit there from those baby goats. That was cool to kind of get a behind the scenes. They put up earlier today some, what do they call them? Outtakes? Is that what they call them? Comedy takes? Blooper reel. Yeah. Which, was somewhat funny. But the other one that, again, it makes no sense to me because I haven't watched the show, but that scene where he's revealing to Tyler Linderbaum the week 1 game, and he's like, I can reveal to you that it's this. And then EDC, just because he's already like a stone cold liar and he like takes pride in it, that he looks at him and like robotically, and he's like, a handshake will be given upon request. And then Linderbaum is somewhat robotic, but better. And like with the big smile, he's like, okay, may I have a handshake? And then he doesn't give one. Like he just tilts his head, robotic smile. And I was like, what is going on in here? I need to go watch the show.
Tyler's probably thinking, hey, can I get a handshake on the extension?
Yeah.
Can we make sure that handshake is in play, please? So.
He and Kyle Hamilton, who was pretty good in his little scene too with the doctor. So
KVN's been active. Not only has he been acting, but he's been tweeting. And he did about the schedule release just earlier this morning. And he said, we're live bullets out the gate this year, huh? That's a lot of playoff teams. 3 home games in a row. Weird. 3 away games in a row. Super weird. Thanksgiving at home against who day or who dat. Not sure which one it is. Will be cinema. No Christmas game this year on the road. Thank the heavens. 3 out of the last 4 on the road. Fun times ahead. KVN checking in. So that's not all he's been up to, Sarah, behind the scenes. But he's been doing TV work. He's been doing acting work. And now he's analyzing the schedule as well.
There we go, KVN. Let's go. Meanwhile, how does the Ravens schedule compare? Okay, so we've got a strength of schedule, but it's based off of 2024 records, which is the way you have to do it. So as we go through 2025, they'll start to reconfigure what the strength of schedules are based off of the winning in 2025. But I feel like a lot of people are saying it's a super tough schedule, and it's certainly not like the 49ers or anything like that. But I also feel like they caught some breaks. But first off, Bobby, their strength of schedule is number 9 overall. What I didn't know and realize until this morning is the first 8 toughest schedules are all NFC teams. Starting with New York, then Chicago, Lions, Eagles, Cowboys, Packers, Vikings, Commanders. Now, part of that I think, is a lot of these guys have the AFC North. The Lions, we know, Green Bay Packers, the Vikings, all coming through the AFC North. But then the NFC East with, I believe, the Giants, Eagles, and Cowboys all together must be playing tough divisions. And within themselves, they're playing the Eagles, the Super Bowl champs. But the Ravens are number 9, followed right behind by Steelers, KC, and Chargers. So not the worst, but the Ravens also have 9 home games to 8 away games. They have one tough road stretch with 3 in a row for sure. But they've got some good home stretches. I just think the toughest is out of the gate, and then they will finish with a bunch of AFC North teams, which is the way it should be division play. So it's not an easy schedule, but it's certainly not the worst in the league.
No, far from it. There's one division game in the first 10 weeks. So to your point, it's extremely backloaded as it has been in recent seasons. So I think, as we discussed yesterday, there's that middle portion of the schedule. As we kind of went quarter by quarter by quarter, we kind of broke it up into, 4 quarters, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And they really got a stack within that window. And I think what we called that window was from roughly week 5 Texans, roughly to week 12 against the Jets. And that does include a bye week.
You mean an easier slate is in there?
I just think that you need to win of those 2, 4, 6, 7. There's games. Let's see this. So week 5 to week 12 spans 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8 weeks, 7 games, because you got the bye sprinkled in there. You really got to win. You really should win to give yourself margin for error on the front and back end. 6 of those 7 games. If you can rip off 5, 6, 7 wins within that stretch, you're going to have a degree for margin for error, where it's really tough. And it's really tough out of the gate, and it's really division. Well, look, we have no idea what this division is going to be, obviously.
Right,
but if we continue to follow the history and the stats that we've pulled in recent weeks that Warren Sharp has dug deep on, then you better believe this division is going to be among the best in the league. It has been in recent seasons. Well, we're 2 years removed from every single team being 500 or better.
I don't think they're right. I don't think the Ravens can ever overlook the Steelers because they always play each other tight. They just know each other so well. Harbaugh and Tomlin know each other well, but I just don't think the Steelers are going to have that great of a season. But we'll get to them in a second. I've got a clip from NFL Live on them.
And they may not, right? Yeah. They may not. And you can take out everything these two teams have done the 2 times they play each other. Happens every freaking year. Unbelievable. Which is part of the reason why during our kind of instant predictions last night, I said I'm going with a season split of the series for the Ravens against Pittsburgh and Cincinnati.
And you have them sweeping the Browns?
Oh, yeah.
See, both of them without quarterbacks, you just you have to beat them. If another team doesn't have a franchise quarterback, you should beat them. You should absolutely beat them. But
Sarah, the one last thing on this, they should have swept Cleveland last year, and Kyle Hamilton.
Oh, absolutely.
Kyle Hamilton would tell you that.
Yeah. Well, they should, but they got to get it done. They got to get. That's why there's always 1 or 2 games that you're supposed to win, but you end up losing. So. Just as a recap from my end, I already talked about coming out of the gate, making a big statement. Just to recap, this is, again, why I think it's a perfectly fine schedule. They have 4 primetime games. I think that week 17 game against the Packers is a good chance, if they're both good teams, to be another primetime game. But they get their first home Monday football game since 2021. I think they've only had a couple, so that should make John Harbaugh happy. The toughest road stretch, weeks 9 through 11 at Dolphins, Vikings, and Browns. But Dolphins completely winnable, Browns completely winnable, and we don't know how the quarterback situation is going to wind up in Vikings. So even though those are all on the road 3 in a row, seems like right now on paper those are beatable teams. 5 of the last 8 are against AFC North rivals. No international contests. You don't have to worry about travel. As KVN said, no Christmas game. And so my prediction, we said last night our predictions for the record. You said 12-5. I said 13-4. I also predicted on Twitter that the Ravens will win the division for the third time in a row, which would be a franchise first. They've never won 3 times in a row.
Yeah, there were a lot of. I felt like a lot of 13-4s. We got some. I feel like we got some 14-win season predictions last night. I think Park Heights Prophet went 17-0, didn't he? So
yeah, he did.
I'm going back to back 12-5.
Yeah.
Last year that was my prediction as well. By the way, one note on Monday Night Football. This is from Jamison Hensley. You just mentioned it. They seldom get those home games.
Yeah.
Since 2008, year that Harbs took over, Ravens only had 5 home Monday Night Football games. That's tied with Houston and Jacksonville for the fewest over that span of 16 years. So,
yeah, I knew it was a handful, but 5 is exactly it.
He's going to be a happy man, to your point. Preseason football, you can mark your calendars for this. They'll have a home game against the Colts Thursday, August 7th at 7 o'clock. Week 2 will be at Dallas. It's a Saturday, the 16th of August, 7 o'clock kick. And then week 3, the date is to be determined. But as it tends to be in the preseason, they're either typically hosting the Commanders or going down south to the Commanders. This time it will be down to Landover.
Speaking of the Commanders, this will be very interesting for Jaden Daniels in his second year. Last year, the Commanders had the second easiest schedule. This year, they're number 8, right up above the Ravens. So now that the league has seen the Commanders and the way that they are, and knowing that they're going to go from the second easiest to the 8th hardest, will they be able to continue their trend? But shoot, they played well in the playoffs too. So we'll see.
And again, on paper, which is the theme of this time of year when you're talking about teams, they got a lot better this offseason. A lot better, including the headliner trade for Deebo Samuel. And they are capitalizing on the situation that they find themselves in, which is a unflappable young quarterback who's on his rookie deal. And with Adam Peters, who's their GM, who was brought over from San Francisco, being aggressive and savvy, and Dan Quinn kind of being a player's coach, and they got the ownership with Josh Harris intact, who's a proven owner, a winner. Look out, boy. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch them.
Absolutely.
And they gave the Ravens all they could handle in that game. Ravens still won. There were also some self-inflicted wounds there, including an opening drive interception with on a Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews target. 30-23 was the final there. That game could have gone anybody's way. Ravens ended up walking out victorious.
Yeah.
Before we get to the Dan O content and revisiting yesterday's Derrick Henry news, you want to get caught up to speed on Super Chats?
Absolutely.
Did we have this one from Boise? Yes, we did.
Yeah, we did.
So we left off with Sod Blitz, and he's going to clarify what Andor means, which is the best Star Wars program ever made. Has a higher rating than Empire Strikes Back. The series is on Disney Plus. It makes every other Star Wars better.
Really?
Okay. That's the first I've heard of it, which shows you where my time is spent.
Man, I have a hard time. Well, listen, I'm like a nostalgia person. It's like, don't touch my movies. You know what I mean? And like make it, the movies from my childhood, right? So it's like, I will never move on from Michael Jordan being the GOAT. I can't, because I watched him as a kid, but I also think he is the GOAT. But I've heard mixed reviews. I've heard some people say that Disney Plus has ruined Star Wars, but then there's people like Sod that say it's awesome. So I could see myself giving it a try again if I had that stuff, but I am not streaming to all these different places. By the way, did you see there was I saw a random tweet about ESPN coming up with its streaming service for $30 a month? Like, going streaming was supposed to make it cheaper from leaving cable. But now it's like everybody wants to do their own streaming, and you have your own packages, and it's like, sorry, I'm not coming to all of you guys. So
pretty sure that's where Rich is going to be. Rich Eisen.
Yeah, maybe that was it.
Back to ESPN. So
will they not put it when it is the streaming basically streaming their content that they currently have on TV?
Well, for streaming, If
Or
it's,
is
if it's Rich, since he's the same time slot as McAfee, he'll be exclusively streaming, and McAfee will be on linear television and YouTube.
Oh, see, yeah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
$30 a month? I'm good. $30 a month for like basically one kind of channel. Maybe it's like you can count it as a couple with ESPN and ESPN2 and all that kind of stuff. That's crazy talk.
You're adding on to the $58 or whatever it is for, YouTube TV on a monthly basis.
Right.
You're adding on like I'll add on. Remind me what you do since you live in Columbus to watch Ravens games. What's it called?
So on YouTube I get the Sunday package.
Yeah, so I'll probably do that.
$300 if you get it early enough. Yeah, you're gonna need it in Florida.
I'll do that this year, and that's fine, and I'll be able to watch more football than I ever have before, which is fine.
It is actually a nice setup on YouTube TV because you can get 4 games going at once on there. It's really easily controlled. Yeah. But I'll have to, when we get to games, I got to give you a tip to make sure you're not like a play or two behind, because sometimes streaming puts you behind. But there's a tip on YouTube to keep on schedule with everybody else. Otherwise, you're tweeting 2 plays behind everybody else on
Thank you.
Yeah.
Holly?
Stark said he wanted to pick off Josh game 1. Here's his chance, Holly. I agree.
Yes, here's his chance. And according to ESPN Bet, by the way, I had a note on this. The Ravens are 2-point underdogs. They opened up that season opener on the road in Buffalo, which really means when you're on the road, that's essentially like, if it was the opposite, it'd be 2 points in Baltimore's favor. If it was home, that's essentially what that's telling you.
Mm-hmm.
Tim Hughes calling it now. We're going to be a juggernaut this year. 15. I think he's calling his shot on wins. 1 muff to the Browns, once to the Steelers because we clinched by season end, which of course has happened a couple times before, Sarah. Rare money.
I believe we go 15-2, he says. I think our offense will be super elite and our defense will be top 5. Oh my gosh. If the offense repeats what it did last year and the defense is somehow top 5, book it. Book it.
Liv B. Rogue One is my fave Star Wars movie. Andor came after that movie came out and is a bit of a spinoff from that. Basically Star Wars spy type stuff. Sod Blitz for you.
Sarah, it gives the originals more meaning, he says. It's basically the story of how the rebellion was built. Okay, I do like prequels. I am a prequel fan. Okay. It's dark for Star Wars, more for adults than kids. But my programming, I like the kids' programming. So I don't know. We'll see. How dark? I can handle a little bit, but only so much.
Please follow up.
That's not surprising, right? That I enjoy kids' programming.
That's not. Kush Renata, we have to beat the Chiefs to set the mood for the season. Our newest pass rusher has to go crazy along with KVN and Owe. Relentless pressure on Mahomes. And the newest pass rusher that Kush Renata is referring to is Mike Green, the 2nd-round pick out of Marshall.
That's the only thing that stinks about having it early. I actually think it's an advantage for the Ravens to have these guys early because the Ravens have so much continuity. That being said, the key to stopping Mahomes and Allen is getting pressure on them. And so it's like, how quickly can Mike Green get up to speed? Maybe he'll catch him by surprise. I don't know.
See. Sod Blitz 34?
Yes, chat. PG-13 is exactly my lane. PG-13. There we go. That's somewhat adultish.
It's fair enough.
Sod Blitz, $19.99 for Disney Plus, Max, Hulu, and ESPN Plus bundle. But that's different from what they're going to be streaming, right?
Meaning who?
Well, ESPN Plus, that's been their new package of ESPN streaming. I don't know. Is that different from ESPN Plus?
I don't know.
I actually canceled Hulu in order to get YouTube TV with the Sunday ticket. I used to have Hulu. I wasn't going to do both. It's the principle of it, Bobby. Yeah. It's the principle.
I'm with you there.
Yeah.
I'm with you there. I cut my uncle's cord when I was down there in Florida in Orlando, and he had like cable boxes all over the place, and he was stunned that we didn't need another one to replace it. And he was going to cut his bill in half by like more than double.
Yeah.
He was like, what?
Yeah.
And now I've been texting him the last couple of weeks just to check in. I said, how do you like YouTube TV? Because for some people it's different. There's a couple extra steps. It's a little bit slower to turn on the television, I guess, technically. and he's loving it. And he's 72 years old. So there you go.
Okay.
One more super chat before we get to Orlovsky. Rob says, salute Sarah and Bobby B. I appreciate both of your passion for the game. We appreciate you, Rob. Thank you. Thank you for the super chat. And thanks to all 2,000 plus of you for joining us right now. Thanks to Be More Around Town for a tremendous show last night, exclusively sponsoring us. We will give out and randomly select, it's already been selected, the winner to last night's Fanatics gift card. It's $100 towards Baltimore's team store. That's one of our giveaways that we did, courtesy of Primary Residential Mortgage. And yeah, thank you guys for being with us today. So, Sarah, the pre-schedule release gift, of course, just to remind everyone, not that you need it, but here it is, was in the form of a contract extension for King Henry. The Ravens awarded him a 2-year, $30 million deal. It's $25 million fully guaranteed over the next 2 seasons. Todd France of Athletes First was the king negotiator here, and it's the largest deal in NFL history for a running back over 30 years old. It keeps him in Baltimore through 2027. And in terms of average annual value, he leapfrogged a number of his peers at the running back position and now sits third at $15 million per season, behind, of course, Christian McCaffrey and the top dog and Saquon Barkley, who received his extension not long after the Eagles won the Super Bowl in his first year with Philadelphia. You found something on Dan Orlovsky. How are we going to tie all this in together?
Yeah, well, just as I mentioned last night, but I think it bears repeating, Derrick Henry was awarded the biggest deal in NFL history to a running back 30 years or older, which makes sense since he had the most yards in a single season for a running back aged 30 years or older. So almost 2,000 yards last season, 1,921. Tiki Barker back in 2005 had 1,860. Curtis Martin had 1697 in 2004, and then Walter Payton 1684 in 1984. So Dan Orlovsky and Peter Schrager were reacting to this news about Derrick Henry. Okay. And so it's about a 2-minute clip. I'm going to pause it a couple times because I think they make some good points. But then by the end, I'm like, I'm on to you, Dan. I'm on to you, Dan Orlovsky. I feel like I see what you're doing, and I don't want you to do it. But before we get to the very end, let's start with this. Their reaction to Derrick Henry and what this means for the Ravens roster. Peter Schrager is first.
See why they would invest this money in him, but do you have any issue with them investing this type of money, a 31-year-old running back?
If you're getting a free agent from another team at 31 and you're giving him this kind of money, you're really rolling the dice. They have him in the building. They know what they are getting. And so to me, it's the Ravens look at a window. We have what might be a process. I love this, and I also love Baltimore taking care of him. Let's not let this fester. We're seeing what's happening in Cincinnati with Trey Hendrickson. We see this happen a lot with veteran players where then you feel aggrieved. Like, you know what? We're going to get ahead of this. We're going to pay you now. You're going to be happy, and we've got you for the next 2 years, and you're being paid top dollar. Derrick Henry deserves every penny, and I love the.
Totally agree here, right, Bobby? Like, that's why I set it up. He got paid a lot. It was the most in NFL history for a quarterback or for a running back age 30 or older, but he showed that he was worth that by having the most yards. So I have no problem with the amount that they paid him. I think it was a fair market price, the value that he brings, what he showed the Ravens inside the building. He showed no slowdown, have no problem with the contract. Do you?
Absolutely not.
I didn't think so. Okay, let's keep going. I agree with him there. Let's get back.
You proactively taking care of him.
You said best roster in football? In your opinion, your thoughts, 1 to 53?
If I'm looking at all the losses from the Chiefs and the Eagles, yes, I think the Ravens, if I'm looking on paper, 1 to 53, the Ravens have the best roster.
I think it's the most interesting, fascinating, pressure-loaded team in the NFL.
Yeah.
Because the question gets asked all the time. We're years into this now. When are they going to get it done? What's it going to take? When are they going to get over the hump? And it's a really difficult question to answer. It's not, well, they got to be able to throw the ball better. Nope, that's good. They need more perimeter players. That's great. The candid answer is like, someone's got to make a play when it matters the most. It's almost like when will they get over the hump when they don't choke it away in a way. And I don't want to use that about a team,
no doubt,
an organization that I have such immense respect for. But it does feel like they get into those situations. It's like, well, who's going to make the play to lose the game?
Dan, L'Jarius Sneed knocks the ball out of Zay Flowers' hand on the goal line 2 years ago. Last year, Mark Andrews, I know everyone's so triggered about talking about
like they're great players.
These are great players.
Who are always clutch except for when they really needed him to be clutch.
And like, if you're talking to a Ravens fan, like I'm saying they have the best roster in football, I know the Ravens fan, they don't want to hear that.
They don't care.
I don't want to hear about it
September,
anymore.
October, November, December.
Talk to me in February.
Okay, there's two different things going on here, Bobby. First of all, it's this chat of like when you rank all the rosters side by side, according to Peter Schrager, who I don't think is meaning anything more than what he's saying it's the best roster in football. I cannot honestly say I've gone and looked at everybody's rosters, but I would feel comfortable saying they've got to be top 5 in terms of rosters. Like I like you've got all the returning offensive players. They were ranked number 1 in many offensive categories. The defense bounced back if they can pick up where they left off. You have one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Yeah, I think it's one of the best rosters. What say you?
Absolutely. I think Peter's best point that he made was not knowing what Philadelphia will be given their departures. They had an onslaught of departures because they couldn't pay everybody because they had that many skilled players, especially on the defensive side of the ball, that they either let walk or they did pay some, obviously. But I think that's a great point. Last year, for me and my money, it was between Philadelphia and Baltimore.
Right.
And I think that's still the case. You can put Detroit in that conversation. You, of course, can put Kansas City in that conversation. And maybe you can put Buffalo in that conversation.
Absolutely. So
but
I think
but I think we agree the Bills are not on, in terms of sheer talent, all 3 levels. While they beat them in January, the Ravens beat themselves. And so I would put the Ravens ahead of them in terms of sheer talent in all 3 phases. But why you might give Baltimore
I don't know about all 3. I can't speak to special teams. I mean, the Ravens just let go of what was the most accurate kicker of all time. And he certainly wasn't last year. So I don't know about all 3 phases.
If we're talking offense and defense, I'm confident. Special teams, the jury's still out, correct, because of Tyler Loop. We don't know who he's going to be. We don't know if he's the guy in his rookie season like Justin was years ago.
Yeah.
So
I would also just say this. Defense to defense, I still don't know either. I want to see what the Ravens defense is. If it's the defense of the beginning of last season, then no. You know what I mean? But I think they're going to be bounced back. I think that they will with the pieces that they added in the way that Zach Orr is going into his second year. So to me, I would still need to go down and look at the rosters and be like, okay, let me see for sure. But that's why I have no problem putting him in a top 5 in these in like a tier of the best rosters. But I do think that, Derrick Henry is better than Cook, even though Cook is no slouch, as the Bills fans tried to make us believe last year. They've got receivers, all that kind of stuff. So agreed that they have one of the best rosters. I also agree that a lot of times Ravens fans don't want to hear that. You don't want to hear it because it's just like, whatever, we've had one of the best rosters since 2019 now. And I think that is true. One of the best. I don't know that it was the absolute best, but certainly one of the best. And so it's like, whoop-de-doo, we have the best roster. And I don't know that it is the worst word for Dan Orlovsky to say that the Ravens have choked. I think that's essentially what Roquan Smith is saying, is we got to stop shooting ourselves in the foot. I mean, shoot yourself in the foot, chokes. I don't know. Is it the same thing? Seems like it's in the same arena.
Well, think about it. He tried to set that up as respectful as he possibly could. Yes, he said the word choked, and he said it on multiple segments. I just so happened to be watching last night, pre-schedule release. He was doing all kinds of different hits on different shows, and he said it a couple times. And yeah, I have no pushback against that. He said it respectfully, and they have choked.
Yeah.
It's just the fact of the matter.
That to me is the same thing as saying, you shot yourself in the foot. Okay, now the last thing that I'm on to. So Peter Schrager is like, yeah, I think it's the best roster. And then Jan had to really point that out. He said, did you say the best roster? Peter's like, yeah, when I line it up against the Eagles and Chiefs and their losses, yeah, I think it's the best. And he's like, okay. And I think he just wanted to make sure there's an extra point there about that Lamar Jackson may have the best supporting cast. And even if that were true, I don't think it should matter if Lamar Jackson himself is having an insane year, right? It matters if Lamar isn't having an insane year and other people are just picking up more of the load than Lamar. But to me, last year, it was irrelevant because they voted him the All-Pro, meaning he was the best. And then they use this backdoor kind of a way to play with the word value. And I brought it back up what he said last year because there was pushback on people like Dan Orlovsky and Emmanuel Acho and 4 others, where several of them admitted and said Lamar Jackson was the best, but stole it from him because he also had good teammates. Again, you can make an argument that other teammates are playing better, but Lamar Jackson, after winning 2 MVPs, played even better last year, and he clearly was still the straw that stirred the drink. Therefore, I don't think it was right to steal it, and I feel like he wanted to point out again that he's got the best roster so that he can repeat what he did last year, which was this.
For first team All-Pro.
And you voted for Josh MVP?
Yeah.
Okay, so then explain it to me. How did you differentiate those things?
The value that the player brought to their football team. The Bills were the number 2 seed. Josh had a 40 touchdown, 8 turnover, 14 sack season. The Bills didn't have an elite defense. The Bills had a very good run game, not a great run game. They didn't have elite perimeter players in any regard. The way that Josh played this season and the different style that he played brought tremendous value to their football team. Lamar's season was absolutely sensational. He was probably the best player in football this year, or Jamar Chase, or Saquon Barkley. But value and how much you impact your team, who you do it with and who you do it against, that's where I thought Josh Allen had the upper hand.
Interesting. We disagree on this side of the table.
Did he say most valuable player for his team? Is this MVP of the league or of the Bills?
Gosh. So, I mean, I think I'm glad that we have Dan here to defend him and the people who did this, but it does feel like you're trying to split the baby. Like, you don't got the heart to say what you actually want to say. I think both of them had MVP caliber seasons, but it feels like you are trying to find some little semantics trapdoors. So you can give this to him and that to them because you don't actually want to say what you really want to say.
Which is what?
Lamar Jackson had the best season this year. And maybe you could argue
but that's not the award, Don.
See, this is the semantics foolishness that we do. This is what you do. You say value. And the cool thing about value, it gives us on these shows a way to argue because you can twist it and turn it any way you want. Normally, MVP means who's the best damn dude in the league.
Yeah.
And to me, obviously, Josh Allen had an MVP caliber season. But the best damn dude in the league this year was the guy who was first team All-Pro.
It for sure is semantics. So Shalize was the one on Twitter that kind of like pointed this out. I want to give her credit, but I do think that there's some validity here where she says, "Oh, Dan is starting early, so he can say Lamar doesn't deserve MVP because the team is loaded." She's like, "I see you, Dan." So, and I just fundamentally disagree with that. I mean, again, one of the reasons why the Ravens have, as Schrager said, the best roster is because of Lamar Jackson, because you have a 2-time MVP at the quarterback position. And so it's true. They were trying to split the baby. Let me give the best player award. They renamed it. Let me give the best player award to Lamar because he was the best, but I'm going to give value because what? Because it matters who you do it with? Come on. Lamar's season was clearly better than Josh Allen's. And it wasn't better because of his teammates. It's because he took it up another notch.
Dominique's face. I forgot he told me. Yeah, I forgot he told Dan to his face. He doesn't have any heart. You don't have any heart to tell us what you're really thinking or whatever he said there was something. So, yeah, that was they looked like they were in New Orleans then. So that must have been right after it was announced, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right after the All-Pro ballots were released. And then Lindsey Jones and everybody were like, wait, we didn't know that this was being released. Wow, it would have been nice to know. Well, would you have changed your vote if you knew that it was going to go public? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's never too early to look ahead. 2025 best odds to win MVP. Fox Sports graphic. This was Wednesday, May 14th odds. And look who is in pole position, lockstep with one another, tied for first. Best odds, Josh and Lamar, plus 550. Joe Burrow just behind them at plus 650. Mahomes, plus 700. Jaden Daniels, second-year player, sneaks his way into the top 5 best odds of plus 750. Jalen, Justin, CJ, Jordan, and Baker round out the top 10.
And Bobby, just real quick, I think what Dan Orlovsky is describing is more Jalen Hurts than Lamar Jackson. Like Lamar Jackson is the straw that stirs the drink in Baltimore. Whereas I can't say that for Jalen Hurts. Fantastic quarterback, right? Fantastic quarterback. But he is not the main thing that propels the Eagles. He's not. Whereas Lamar is. And so I get to some degree what, Dan Orlovsky is saying, or Emmanuel Acho, when he came on our show and he admitted on our show, yes, Lamar was the best, but I didn't vote for him because of these value semantics. So, Jalen Hurts, fantastic, but it was clearly Saquon Barkley on their team. Whereas that was not the case in Baltimore.
I would agree with that take on Jalen from a full body of work standpoint collectively. Mm-hmm. But in the postseason, he has been exceptional. He's been elite.
Right, which is not the MVP award.
It is not. Right. But I think when you're looking at Jalen's legacy so far, he'll be remembered for what he's done in January. Even the year that they lost to Kansas City, he was elite.
Same as Joe Flacco. Same as Joe Flacco. That's why he got the name January Joe. Yeah. But he was never in contention for MVP in the regular season.
No. Yeah. Orlovsky wasn't done there. He said, and it's funny, I listened to this segment.
Oh, yeah, this is the Steelers one.
Well, there were a bunch of people talking at this time on the desk. And Dan, I don't think this caught the attention of whoever was hosting this segment, who I believe was Laura Rutledge. But when they had Pittsburgh's schedule up on the screen, you have the quote right here. He said, I think you're staring at 0-6 in the face for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Do you have their opponents up in front of you?
Here, I'll pull it up. And you know what? I just noticed I didn't bring the video in either. I might be able to get that real quick, but Steelers schedule, let's pull it up.
No, the Ravens won't see them for a while. Only one division game in the first 10 weeks. They'll see Pittsburgh for the first time week 14. And then, of course, again, week 18, the regular season finale, and that'll be at Pittsburgh. So it's home against the Steelers, hosting them week 14. And then week 18 will be on the road in Pittsburgh, regular season finale.
Oh, that's the preseason. My bad. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. So Steelers, where they're saying that they could start out 0-6, which is crazy because it's not like the Jets have a ton going for them.
Well, think about this. Didn't they go 0-6 down the stretch last year to close things out?
They did. And I'm telling you, Steelers fans had an inkling that it was coming. They all knew the toughest part of their schedule was at the end. Like they had a cakewalk in the beginning. So, but they feel like the Jets defense is just going to blitz the crap out of whoever's there, Aaron Rodgers or Rudolph. Seattle Seahawks, they have got Mike McDonald. They would know how to, get after him too. Patriots, brand new coach, Vrabel, would know how to get after him. Same with Vikings and then the Browns. So their point, because I didn't bring the video in, I thought I did, was that all 6 of these have great defenses. And they just are like, where are they going to get their points with no franchise quarterback?
That's an early buy right there. Week 5 for them.
That's a very early buy. That stinks.
I don't have them going 0-6, but
no, 0-6 I think would be a stretch.
I think that's a little bit much. Look, I think the Patriots will turn around nicely. I don't think they're a playoff team, but I could see them sneaking in like 7-8 wins in Mike Vrabel's first year back. When I say back, he used to play there, obviously. But I see them. I think the Steelers could handle the Patriots. I think they could handle the Jets. I do have high hopes for Justin Fields, and I hope for his sake that he finally ends up in a situation that benefits him. Chicago certainly didn't, and they pulled the plug on him last year after the first 6 weeks, and he went 4-2. I know he was far from perfect, but I would have been really cool to see as a fan of Justin Fields, I guess from an intrigue standpoint. It would have been cool to see if they gave him a full body of work, full opportunity to go the distance and not have handed the keys to Russ, what the Steelers would have become.
Yeah.
Would have been really interesting to see that.
I will say this. It seems like the schedule makers are slightly banking on Aaron Rodgers becoming their starting quarterback because, of course, week 1, they put the Jets there. And then what's also interesting is they have Green Bay Packers was one of their primetime games. Again, Aaron Rodgers. If Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback, why wouldn't you make that a primetime game? Although both Packers and Steelers do often get huge ratings just because they've been around forever and they get good ratings. But I think, is that their only primetime? No, they got Miami primetime also. And
a little bit easier
Chargers.
to
Okay, they got 3 primetimes.
If you think about this from a Pittsburgh fan, and like you just mentioned, the Aaron Rodgers element of it all, not only do you get to go against his former team twice in Green Bay and the Jets, but the team that can't stand his guts, the Chicago Bears, because he's literally on record for saying that he owns them, they're going to play them too. So there's just so much entertainment value when you look at it from the Aaron Rodgers angle. And obviously it's just a matter of time. Well, I don't know if it's a matter of time. I don't know what the holdup is at this point. And if I'm Art Rooney, I'm kind of getting a little antsy here.
Well, they were saying on one of these shows that like mandatory minicamp has got to be the date where he's got to give an answer. Although if Aaron Rodgers hears that, he's like, oh yeah, bet. See you in training camp.
Gosh, amazing. There you have it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. We got some other quick hits to go around here. Appreciate you guys for being with us. Let you take this.
Yeah, so Tom Pelissero tweeted this morning.
Oops. I got a little bit of a freeze going on over here, Sarah. I might have to come in and then come out, so I'll let you.
Oh, interesting. We can hear you and see you fine.
I'm good now.
He says NFL owners will discuss a resolution, just discuss, at next week's league meeting that would allow NFL players to participate in the Olympics, which will include flag football for the first time in 2028. Ramey quote retweeted that with this photo of Lamar looking like, oh, put me in, coach. Olympics in 2028, flag football. I would like to see that.
As much as I'd like to see it, gulp. You're holding your breath throughout that entire competition.
What? So that he doesn't get hurt?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not getting tackled. Nobody's catching him.
Nobody's catching him, but oh.
Well, you see him like cutting and maybe an ACL gives out or something?
Just saying, you never know. Pride of country and the spirit of competition, you never know what happens. Couple birthdays in order. Sashi Brown, team president, and the great 52, Ray Lewis. Did he turn 50 today? Did I see that somewhere? Ray Lewis and Sashi Brown, co-birthdays. They're celebrating today, the 15th of May. I thought
Ray
I saw
Lewis, yes, it's 50 years old today.
Whoa.
He's only 5 years older than me. Sheesh.
Whoa.
He's 20 years older than 20 years older than you, eh?
It's a big number. He's got me by 20. Yes, he does indeed. Let's get some super chats. Heather McCubbins, who was on the receiving end of her generosity. Heather has gifted a Voltron channel membership. So thank you, Heather. And she also left a super chat for us as well. Sticking her neck out there, 14-3. What you all think? I've seen a few of those. And that's also what Sarah had. Or no.
13.
Sorry, you had 13. I had 12. You had 13.
Very generous of Heather. Thank you, Heather.
Truth Bearer.
Orlovsky has an agenda, but he's not lying about us.
C. Brittle. Dan O seems a little biased. We can say this about Buffalo. Sod Blitz 34 with some predictions.
He says 15-2. Number 8 goes 3-time MVP. Number 24, Defensive Rookie of the Year. Boy, things are nice in May, isn't it? May, everybody like winning everything.
That would be Malachi Starks, who's going to be rocking number 24. Rob with another one. The regular season matters to the Ravens to set us up with the best possible seed. After you get there, winning in the playoffs is all that matters. Megalodon.
So being the best player in football has no value. Interesting, LOL.
Dreams checking in. Purdy has a loaded team and wanted to give him MVP, meaning Dan Orlovsky, a couple of years ago when Lamar snatched it from him on Christmas night when they smacked Oh, they smacked San Francisco that night.
Snatched is the perfect word, Bobby, because you're right.
Man.
Purdy was right up there. And then Lamar went off in December, snatched it from Purdy, and then snatched it the next week in Miami from Tyreek Hill.
Yep.
Snatch.
Oh, great stuff. Great stuff. Let's pick a winner. Not pick. It's already been picked, but let's announce our winner right now for last night's Fanatics giveaway. It's $100, courtesy of Primary Residential Mortgage. And whoever wins this, just email us and you get to use $100 towards Baltimore's team store. Get your merch, enhance it a little bit. So this was all randomly selected. And to go back to the instructions from yesterday, again, you had to follow PRMI Mid-Atlantic on Instagram, which is one of my sponsors on the Bobby Baltimore side of things. And you had to do a number of other things as well, including comment on the post and follow them and subscribing to us.
Wait,
on
we're not
YouTube.
seeing it. It's showing happy birthday again.
Of course it is. Here she is.
There we go.
The post. This was all that we asked you to do last night, and a number of people, Sarah. A lot of people, as you can see. Ravens Fan Nation, Robbie Pate, Queen Tila, Carl, the Dapper, Drunk Monk, Ad Gaskin, so on and so forth, all threw their names into the hat, and we randomly selected the winner. And I'm just trying to remind myself, I know who it is, but I just want to find it before I actually announce it. Where is he? Where did it go? Hold on a second. I'm looking for Ryan.
I'll look as you go.
Here it is. Gisty the Great. Ryan Gist or Gist is our winner.
That's why you didn't see it. Didn't have it in the name.
I know. Ryan, congratulations. You can email us at BaltimoreRavensVault@gmail.com to claim your prize. If you don't, within, I don't know, we'll give you 24 hours, something like that. But let us know. I'm sure he's listening. He never misses a show. I see his name in there all the time. So, Ryan, congratulations. Thanks to Primary Residential Mortgage. And, Ryan, let us know what you end up buying, courtesy of Fanatics, Baltimore's team store.
Send us a photo in whatever you buy.
Yeah, and honestly, Jack Kilroy, I hope he sends us a photo when Kyle Hamilton's signed mini helmet arrives to him, because Preston that was one of our draft giveaway items from opening night, and Jack won it. And I'm curious to see what that looks like. It's going to be cool. All right, partner, let's get some patrons in here before we jump. And we'll also throw the banner up here just in case Ryan is looking for our email address and doesn't have it. It's in the show notes, but just in case, right here, bottom line ticker right now, you can find it, BaltimoreRavensVault@gmail.com. Leah Couples, BG Method, thank you both for believing in what we're building and being valued patron members of ours. We appreciate you guys. Thank you for being part of that community. This is your monthly shout out. If you guys are interested in doing the same, you can visit patreon.com/RavensVault podcast. That link is in our show notes. And Heather's got another super chat. Bobby, I'm a channel member, not on the receiving end.
Yeah, the way you said that, it came out like you said she was on the receiving end, but I think you meant tell us who's on the receiving end. Because she had gifted the membership, and I think you meant saying, hey, who was on the receiving end? But the way you said it, I actually had to double take at it too. It sounded like you said she was on the receiving end.
That's what I get for multitasking. Thanks, Heather, both for being a channel member, throwing in super chats today, and gifting one as well, gifting a membership. Appreciate you. And Christopher, for you.
Christopher says, hey, Bobby and Sarah. Bobby, I'm sure you've talked about this before. Just curious if you're going to do the North Roundtable again this offseason.
I am not. Thank you for inquiring. I value my weeknights too much, Chris. And quite honestly, there are times where I'm live on my personal channel at 8 o'clock on Wednesday nights. And so it really came down to a priority thing. It wasn't that I didn't like the guys. It wasn't that there were any issues. It was really just a timing thing and only having so many hours in the day, particularly in season. So thanks for watching. Sarah and I always try to get our AFC North fix by bringing in the Brooke Pryors of the world and the Kelsey Conways and Mary Kay Cabots and everybody else that we bring in, from a beat reporter community standpoint. But yeah, I won't be doing the AFC North roundtable this year. And as far as Be More Around Town, obviously, I mentioned it last night. Others have reached out to me in the last day or so since this schedule was released. People are inviting me on road trips. I'm getting DMs about where I'm going and what the plans are. I have not had a chance to sit down with Brian yet, who owns Be More Around Town, and let him know what my plans are. I plan to do that soon. Really want to get this move over with, get back to upstate New York, catch my breath. And, with the draft and the schedule release going back to back, it just, things tend to get a little hectic.
Sure sounded to me like you wanted to go to Buffalo again.
I do. I really hope to accompany him. I don't know how many home games I'll do, especially with how many they are front loaded back to back to back. I don't think it would make a whole lot of sense to kind of travel back and forth every 5 days for those.
Yeah.
But it would be nice to pick a handful of games and continue to do what I know a lot of people enjoyed, which was having a presence, on the ground, boots on the ground type of experience on game day. So, but it goes without saying, as you and I discussed many times last night, Be More Around Town's a fantastic company to partner up with and also go on the road with. And they're accepting deposits right now for Purple Road trips for all 8 away games. So go check them out. BeMoreAroundTown.com.
Love it.
All set on your end?
Nuggets got to win tonight.
They do. Win or go home, correct?
Win or go home. When it is at home.
Is it game 7 or 6?
I think it's 6. It's OKC leads. Yeah, it's game 6. OKC leads 3-2. Okay. So they can seal it. Gotcha. Jokic has got to step up for me at home in Denver. Nuggets are cooked, Sebastian says.
NBA playoffs has been electric. So my hope is that they extend that series for sure.
I was surprised to see the Celtics pull that out without Tatum.
Decisively, too.
And yeah, I said pull it out as if they squeaked by, but it was a decisive one.
Decisively.
Yeah.
So, all right, everybody. Enjoy that game. Enjoy the rest of the content that we have coming up, which will be a pullout coming up later. The condensed form, the best of playlist on YouTube, if you haven't already checked that out, where we take the best 15 to 20 minutes, courtesy of our awesome new editor, Brendan, on the back end, who's been doing great work, he and his team, based out of Hoboken. Enjoying those guys. Good to continue to build this channel, build our business, which is exactly what we've done all off season long. So on their way out, if you could please like the video, subscribe if you haven't already done so. I guess no one more thing today, but maybe we'll try and find one tomorrow. Although we got to be time on task tomorrow because my mom is 2 hours out. She's coming down from upstate New York right now for my brother's graduation weekend. And we have a baccalaureate mass at Loyola tomorrow that we need to make.
Well, one more thing could be 30 seconds each if we make it. The problem is if it's a good story, then we might milk that. You know what I mean?
Ain't never going to happen. Oh, boy. We could try. Thank you, guys. Bunch of new channel members, bunch of super chats, bunch of generosity, and fantastic viewership for a Thursday show. We'll be back with you in under 23 hours from that right now for a Friday Ravens Lunch Hour live stream. We look forward to it. And until then, I'm Bobby. She's Sarah signing off. Thanks, as always, Voltrons, for spending some time with us here inside the vault. We'll talk to you soon.